While it's true that some theme parks get a lot of investment and a coaster what feels like every single year, there are also quite a few parks that go a long time between major additions. In this video, we're going to look at 20 theme parks with the longest coaster droughts. A couple of rules do apply though when deciding how long a coaster drought truly is. I am not going to be including kiddie coasters or relocations. Essentially, we're looking for the last ground up non-kiddie coaster at all these parks. Clone coasters are acceptable as long as they were not relocated first. Throughout this video, we will be going through two side-by-side lists. The first is for parks located within the United States, and the second is for any international parks. Let's get started. United States number 10, Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, 12 years. Admittedly, it is difficult for this park to add coasters given their strict space limitations. They have to be extremely creative when deciding on which new rides and attractions to add because usually it comes at the cost of an old one. This does explain why this park's last coaster addition was a dozen years ago with Undertow, the Mauer spinning coaster. For what it's worth, and while it isn't original, it was a pretty solid addition to the park and serves as a good family coaster offering at Santa Cruz. Overall, this is a wonderful park and I hope to return very soon. International number 10, Hansa Park, 10 years. When it comes to European theme parks, Hansa Park, located in Germany, is about as European feeling as it gets in a classic sense. Given this park's size and notoriety, it's a bit surprising actually that it's been a full decade since this park's last coaster edition. There are two silver linings with this though. Number one is the fact that their last edition was Schwer des Carnen, which is one of the most notable Gerstlauer coasters and probably the best Gerstlauer coaster on planet Earth. This ride has some great speed and elements, along with some very interesting trick elements that I won't spoil here. So has it been a while since this park has gotten a new coaster? Yes, but was the last one they got their best coaster? Probably, so they hit that out of the park. There's also a second silver lining, and that is the fact that they have a Gerstlauer family coaster on the way for 2026. Judging from the other Gerstlauer family coasters, this should be a really nice addition, and it'll break the drought after 11 years. United States number 9, Canopy Lake Park, 14 years. Now this coaster is receiving an SBF Kids spinning coaster this year, but I don't really count that as a new addition. Again, we're kind of putting kids coasters to the side for this video. Making this drought sting a little bit more is the fact that they lost their classic corkscrew during this time. Untamed is another Gerstlauer coaster, this one not nearly on the level of Carnen, and that was the last coaster that Canopy Lake added. At this point, I'd be surprised if they got a new thrill coaster anytime in the near future. I would of course love to be wrong though, so we'll just have to wait and see. International number 9, Efteling, 10 years. Efteling is the first park on this list that we're going to see under the theme of parks that focus on theming and dark rides and overall experiences rather than just strictly roller coasters and thrill rides. Efteling is less focused on these thrilling roller coasters, they're more focused on an overall family experience, as evidenced by the addition of Max and Moritz in 2020, which is a set of dual powered coasters. While we're not considering kids coasters as breaking the coaster drought, that is a really nicely done one. Efteling looks to do a lot of things really well, but when you have Baron 1898 as your most notable thrill coaster, though probably not your best, I think you should try to improve your ride offerings in that area. They have the theming, family attractions, and dark rides. I would love to see them at some point in the near future invest into the thrill coaster side of things. United States number 8, Six Flags St. Louis, 17 years. This park's last non-kiddie coaster was American Thunder in 2008, and for a lot of people this is also the park's best coaster. It looks like a pretty solid wooden creation from Great Coasters International. Unfortunately, this is not a situation where Six Flags St. Louis just focuses so heavily on theming and family attractions and dark rides that they don't really have time to add coasters. Rather, this is just Six Flags choosing not to invest into the park. To be completely honest, with the things we're seeing in the new Six Flags chain in terms of getting rid of assets, I wouldn't be surprised if this park ended up on the chopping block in a few years. International number 8, Universal Studios Singapore, 10 years. Here again is an example of a well-themed park that does more than just coasters. Their last edition is admittedly on the odd side though. It's a suspended family coaster, and I do consider this a family coaster and not a kiddie coaster, though it certainly isn't very intense. That is Puss in Boots' Giant Journey. It is interesting when you look at this park specifically because Universal opened this park in 2010 with 4 roller coasters, and since then they got the one addition in 2015 and nothing since in the coaster department. Will they invest in more roller coasters here in the future? We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully though. United States number 7, Valley Fair, 18 years. Here's another park that unfortunately just has not gotten a lot of investment, this time from the legacy Cedar Fair side of the Six Flags chain. We've talked about it many times before here on the channel, so I don't need to go in depth with it here, But Valley Fair, like Six Flags St. Louis, is most certainly a park that I'm a bit worried about in the future. Will this park still be in the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation's portfolio 10 years from now? I really can't give an honest yes for that. The track record certainly wouldn't point to an obvious yes. The only silver lining is that their last edition was also their best coaster in Renegade. Hopefully for the 20-year anniversary of their drought in a couple years, they'll get some investment. International number 7, Heidi Park, 11 years. To me, this is kind of a park that has flown under the radar in terms of not getting new coasters. Merlin Entertainment is the operator here, and it seems like overall they do a pretty solid job with this park along with a lot of their other properties, but I'm a bit confused as to why there's been such a long gap between coasters here. This is a park that has invested into some theming on their attractions, and their most recent addition was Flugder Dämonen in 2014. For a park of this scale and size and notoriety in Germany, you would hope that at some point in the future they'll get more consistent investment in their coaster department. Now, due to an editing issue, I did forget to put Walt Disney Studios into my list, but because it's been 15 years since they've gotten a new coaster, let's talk about them briefly. This is the sister park to Disneyland Paris, and is definitely seen as one of the weaker Disney parks, if not the weakest Disney park in the whole world. As far as roller coasters go, they do okay. They received one in 2002, one in 2007, and one in 2010. United States number 6, Mount Olympus, 20 years. Now, admittedly, this one is not nearly as surprising as Heidi Park. Mount Olympus is definitely an interesting place, and there's been a lot said in both positive and negative lights on this park. Definitely a lot of negative thoughts have come out about Mount Olympus over the years. I haven't visited, so I can't speak from personal experience though. This park does have 3 pretty good sized wooden coasters in Cyclops, Zeus, and Hades 360. These opened in 1995, 1997, and 2005 respectively. One note with Mount Olympus is that this park technically did receive a coaster 19 years ago, that being the Zamperla Twister coaster Opa, but because this coaster closed in 2014, I'm essentially negating it from the list. International number 6, Galaxyland, 18 years. This park recently lost its most notable coaster ever, the Schwarzkopf looping coaster Mindbender. As for their last coaster, that was the family spinning coaster Galaxy Orbiter. United States number 5, Wild Adventures, 22 years. In the catalog of Herschend Family Entertainment, this park stands out like a sore thumb. It seems like there are some things that this park might do well, but Herschend has just for whatever reason chosen not to invest into this park, especially when you talk about new roller coasters. When you compare this park to the other Herschend parks, Silver Dollar City, Dollywood Kentucky Kingdom, and we can't compare it to all the ones they just bought quite yet, Wild Adventures just does not get the same level of attention that those other ones do. This is really too bad. Here's to hoping that Herschend will finally dump some investment and give this park some new coasters in the near future. International number 5, Disney's Animal Kingdom, 19 years. Hang on a minute. Disney's Animal Kingdom? Yeah, I hate to admit it. I made a mistake while writing this video and accidentally put this in the wrong list. That mistake is still not quite as depressing as Hester and Chester's Dino-Rama, however, formerly located within Animal Kingdom. But we don't need to talk about that. Even with the logistical error, we can still talk about Animal Kingdom though, because it has been a long time since this park has seen some investment in their coaster department. Of course, they did have Primeval Whirl and then those coasters closed, so now they're left with just Expedition Everest. Is this ride a lot of fun, one of the best coasters at Disney World, and one of the better coasters that Disney has? Yeah, I think so, but it's still time for a new one in my estimation. The good news is that Animal Kingdom, even though they don't have a lot of rides, has so much to offer and is so beautiful outside of just Expedition Everest. So even with just the one coaster, you can still have a pretty amazing time here. United States number 4, Six Flags America, 24 years. Unfortunately, safe to say, this drought will not be broken anytime soon. This park will close permanently in just a few months at the beginning of November. So with that in mind, any hopes of future investment into this park is of course not even in the picture. It's a sad circumstance really, another park that felt like had some potential that just was not given an opportunity to succeed with such limited investment. Once the park closes, we'll have to see if any of these coasters end up at other parks. International number 4, Ronde, 19 years. Here's another park in the Legacy Six Flags chain. And here is another park that I can't have terribly optimistic views on for its future. Like Valley Fair and Hansa Park, their last coaster also happens to be their best. It's the B&M Mini Hyper Goliath. Now this park did receive the Vekoma SLC Ednor in 2010, but that happens to be a relocation. It originally opened at Six Flags Astroworld as Serial Thriller back in 1999, and then was in storage for 4 years at Six Flags Great Escape, never opened there, and was moved to Ronde for the 2010 season. As we said at the beginning, relocations do not count for breaking a park's drought, and really, we're talking about an SLC, and I don't know how Ednor runs, but in a lot of cases, that would almost be a negative addition. Looking at you, Con, even though that ride's old, but still. United States number 3, Disney California Adventure, 24 years. Now we're back to the theme of well-themed parks that simply add other types of attractions. Both California Screamin', now Incredicoaster, and Mulholland Madness, now Goofy Sky School, opened in 2001 with the park. While the latter was certainly an interesting choice for a Disney park, especially considering the capacity of just 4 people per train, these coasters have served as the 1-2 punch at California Adventure in the coaster department for a long time now. It's pretty wild when you think about DCA in terms of the fact that the rest of his park is so different from what it was in 2001, and yet they're operating with the same exact roller coasters, just with slightly different themes. As we wrap up this list, you're going to see a very common theme here outside of one park, which we'll get to in a moment. But before that, let's go to international number 3, Tokyo Disney Sea, 20 years. Here is one of the many impressive things about Tokyo Disney Sea. They only have one somewhat major coaster in Raging Spirits, and people say it's not particularly good, but this park still looks like one of the greatest on the planet. The reality of the situation is that you come to Tokyo Disney Sea for the themed attractions and the incredibly immersive lands. You do not come here for the roller coasters. To be honest, in terms of roller coasters, Tokyo Disney Sea deserves a lot better. United States number 2, Michigan's Adventure, 26 years. Yeah, this is the exception of the final 6 parks on this list. Unfortunately, Michigan's Adventure is just a park that doesn't get new coasters. Since 1999 though, they have seen a relocation and a kids coaster, but the relocation was an SLC, so again, that's not exactly necessarily a great thing. This park, by all accounts that I can see, is profitable and still has some things worth doing, but imagine how great this park could be if they just decided to give it some love. This is the exception. Let's go back to the heavily themed parks with international number 2, Disneyland Paris, 30 years. Now, I really don't care what kind of park you are or what you're trying to do. 30 years is a really long time. It's interesting how this park has 4 roller coasters within their gates, and all 4 were added in the first 4 years of operation, 1992 to 1995. They were all in on adding new coasters in the early to mid 90s, and since then they have completely pulled back and never done it again. Who knows as to why? United States number 1, Disneyland, 46 years. I did not realize it had been so long since Thunder Mountain opened in 1979. That was their last non-kiddie coaster. Chippendale's Gadget Coaster opened as Gadget's Go Coaster in 1993. So outside of that kids ride, you have the aforementioned Thunder Mountain, along with Space Mountain, which opened in 1977, and the Matterhorn Bobsleds, which opened in 1959. Disneyland is an absolutely amazing theme park in my opinion, with so many things done right. But the coaster additions have really not happened here in a really long time. This is almost puzzling when you think about how much has been added to this park over the years in terms of dark rides, in terms of themed land, in terms of anything but a roller coaster. The coasters they have are good, and all those non-coasters do make up for the loss a little bit, but I would still like to see more coaster additions into this park in the future. And to finish up the theme of Disney parks, let's talk about international number 1, Tokyo Disneyland, 38 years. This park's last edition was, of course, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad as well. This opened back in 1987. I don't really have any new thoughts here, especially considering everything I just said for Disneyland and these other Disney parks, but there's certainly a common theme throughout Disney. Coasters are not at the top of the priority list. Maybe this will change one day, but with their hesitancy to build major thrill rides, I would be very surprised if that philosophy changed anytime soon. At the end of the day, that's just simply not what these parks are about. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Did any of these parks surprise you? Also, did I miss any notable parks with long coaster droughts? As you saw, I had a couple of issues putting this video together, so it's very possible that I may have skipped one on accident. With all of that being said though, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.